Peace 107.5 FM, the air of success.
We are in the 5 o'clock hour, and if it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy. Hard copy is a presentation of the McKinney Media Group. Copyright 2015, all rights reserved. The views, statements, and opinions of guests expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the views of the host, sponsors, or operators of this radio station. No part of this program may be copied or reproduced in full or in part without the express written consent of the producers, McKinney Media Group. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network. Hard Copy, as you know, seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. Focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant visionary action plan ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians to participate with intelligent and honest contributions. We have a country to build. We've got jobs and industry to create. We've got a people to inspire and empower, and generations of born and unborn Bahamians. We, the people, must protect and plan for. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, we continue with some immigration matters. We will give you an update in a minute on some things that happened today, and certainly we're going to be joined by a special guest in a short time from now as we begin the Hard Copy in earnest. This is Hard Copy.
When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. The plane them spanking clean. The pilots them voice red. They fly you out on time. They fly the attendants red. Service is their passion. With you they take good care. Safety is their culture. Yes, they'll get you there. When I fly.
Fly with us to Fort Lauderdale or the beautiful Bahama Islands. Book today at 702-2600 or visit our website at skybahamas.net and experience Sky.
Commonwealth Bank always has great offers for back to school and vacation loans to help you get prepared this time of year. But this year's Summer Madness specials are truly worth celebrating.
At Commonwealth Bank, I was approved for an education and vacation loan, and I also signed up for a savings account with 5.5% interest.
Loans to help with tuition, uniforms, travel, and more.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Come celebrate Summer Madness specials with us. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
New Oriental Cleaners is celebrating 54 years and going strong. And the Lee family wishes to express a big thank you to their many valuable customers and their loyal staff, team members dedicated and committed to excellent service. Thank you, Bahamas, from New Oriental Cleaners and the Lee family, who appreciates your support in every way. New Oriental Cleaners has been committed to keeping the Bahamas looking good for 54 years, and they're just getting started.
BTC's commitment to its customers does not only lie in Nassau. We have taken our commitment all the way to the south, where the cable provider has been ignoring the residents for many years.
I live in the Fun City subdivision, and for the past 10 plus years, we have had no cable service whatsoever.
BTC is set to provide residents all across the country with the connection and content they've been lacking. Because you deserve it, BTC is continuing to install all our services across the entire Bahamas.
Super Bowl's a big day. Birthdays bring excitement. Anniversaries and Christmas may be close, but nothing compares to back to school. Prepare with this week's specials at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets, including Lay's chips, the 1 ounce size, 2 for 99 cents. Marichan noodles, the 3 ounce size, 3 for $1. Chef Boyardee spaghetti with meatballs, 15 ounce can, $1.19. Niagara spray starch, 20 ounce can, $2.29. Bananas, 79 cents per pound. Ready yourself for back to school at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
The government of the Bahamas has announced that there will be an increase in the minimum wage effective August 15th of 2015. In this regard, the National Insurance Board advises employers that for all workers impacted by the change in the minimum wage, there will be a corresponding increase in contribution payments for the month of August and thereafter. For example, a worker earning the current $150 per week minimum wage would have been paying from his salary contributions of $5.85, with the employer paying $8.85. With the increase in the minimum wage to $210 per week, that employee's contributions will be increased to $8.19 per week, with the employer paying $12.39 per week. The higher contributions will mean higher benefit payments for the worker. By law, contributions not deducted from the worker's salary at the time the salary is paid cannot be deducted from his or her future wages. Therefore, employers are reminded to make the correct deductions at each pay period starting on August 15th. The general public is reminded that increased contributions will be payable only for workers who earn less than $210 per week and whose wages will, as a result, be increased to reflect the new minimum wage.
This message has been brought to you by the National Insurance Board.
Steve McKinney, live, Drive Time Talk.
That's one of the nice things about the Bahamas. Everybody's got an opinion and is free to express it.
In regard to the economy, and you talk about the lousy economy, yes, the economy worldwide is not doing that well, but we also have a hopeful people who are looking with great expectation for many things to happen in this country for them. The government is fully aware of the problem. We have a mandate from our Prime Minister to do as best we can for and on behalf of the Bahamian people, and every minister is going to do that now.
The Big Show.
It is Wednesday, the 19th day of the month of August. 19th of August. Sounds familiar. As you battle the congested city streets and drive home traffic, we have sun and clouds this afternoon, 90 degrees. 106 on the heat index today. That's what it felt like. My goodness. That's what it felt like here in the capital. 81 degrees, the low for the night, 10% chance of rain. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by National Insurance Board, minimum wage benefits you need to know about, Commonwealth Bail Bonds, Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, BTC Every Day, the new Samsung X6 on the market, Super Value, the Bahamian supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisements, RBC Visa, get yours now. Ministry of Tourism Goombay Summer Festival this weekend. Advantage of Shores and Road 61, Collins Avenue. New Oriental Laundry, 9 locations. They want to keep you looking good in time for back to school. Take your uniforms in now and get $5 off for 5 pieces. That's great. Grace Academy, Chester's Quills, #1. Of course, Ron's Electric Motors. They can fix anything. Prime Immigration Services, Sky Bahamas, Super Wash. 11 locations open 24/7. CFAL, Cleaner Financial Advisors Limited. Commonwealth Bank, Summer Madness. They're giving loans for back to school and all that kind of stuff. You want to check it out. Executive Printers, Henry F. Store, the Light People on Mackey Street, and the Blue Ultra Pure Drinking Water, the official water of Hard Copy. Today, we are supposed to be talking with Damian Gomez, but Mr. Gomez is on another assignment. In fact, he called, very responsible, and we have now put that show to Friday, and that's because he has an urgent matter that has come up, and so he won't be joining us today. He sends his apologies, but Friday's gonna come, not a problem. We'll wait. 325-0235 or 325-0242-043, 325-0252 or 53. That's how you can get me today. BlackBerry 376-9234. Follow us on the World Wide Web. Peace1075.com. Cable Top Box 970. TuneIn Radio, iPad, iPhone. You can get us. Follow us on Facebook, Hard Copy, and on Twitter, Hard Copy Bahamas. And we look forward to your participation today. As a result of what is happening here with the juggling of the schedule, we're going to bring in John today. Bostwick is going to join me in a minute. And of course, it's going to be quite interesting because we want to talk about following up, getting a perspective, getting a view on this immigration thing that Mr. Mitchell has been talking about, and hopefully discuss that dispassionately. And we also want to invite you to ask some questions because John Bostwick has a 20-year plan with any number of things that he's been talking about. And some of these plans may be adopted by those present and those future in the governance of the Bahamas. And so we've been trying to get a position on an immigration policy for the Bahamas that would be full of impact and effective. And it's not been an easy thing. Friends, let me tell you something. If you don't understand what is happening, immigration is the biggest thing. It's choking the life out of the Bahamas. It has gotten funky in recent times because a lot of people who are involved in this whole process, they only can see it from their own eye. From their point of view, they are not tolerant of any other viewpoints on this thing. They think that people are against them. Any country that has an immigration problem, especially an illegal migration problem like the Bahamas, ought to be very afraid. It's a very dangerous situation. And we make no apologies for informing the public as to how dangerous the situation is. If there are people in your country that you don't know who they are, and they're not behaving well, and they are threatening to the national security, what do you do? So for those persons who chat around the chat rooms on Facebook, who don't understand proper English in some cases, and what we are talking about, please sit back, listen, and try to learn something. Because the bottom line is that you don't want to irritate any matters where there is clashing or, some big misunderstanding. The fact of the matter is that the Bahamas is a sovereign country. And a sovereign country certainly has its rules and regulations and ordinances and things that all of us as citizens, residents, visitors must obey. It's not a free-for-all. And while in the absence of those who are in charge, not speaking up and speaking truth to power, when you get the brutal truth, as my producer told me, when you get the brutal truth, it sounds odd, it sounds painful, but it's a painful, odd, unacceptable situation that we're in. And so we've got to try to match it with the proper analysis that it deserves. Do not be offended. Don't be a small thinker. Be an open-minded person who, if you love the country of the Bahamas, if you are about building the country of the Bahamas, you will understand the urgency of now. We have jested, we have fooled around for so long, not paying attention to this immigration thing. It has actually overtaken us. We're not in a good position with the amount of illegals in the Bahamas. And I will tell you, one of the things that the government of the Bahamas need to have fair warning of is this. We are a compromise society based upon those who are in politics for the wrong reasons. We're compromised. And we're compromised sexually, from a monetary point of view, from a sexual point of view, from a political point of view, and sexual, monetary, and political gain has compromised the Bahamas. We've got people doing their own thing for whatever reason, not looking at the big picture. For instance, crooked justice of the peace. They've done any number of things that is a cardinal sin to the Bahamas. We've got to deal with all of those things that they falsified and put into the record as people who are from here. Policemen, defense force agents, even customs agents, even immigration agents in some cases. We, the people, have to deal with that. We've got to absorb that. We've got to appreciate that people have done things ultra-virus to the rules, to the growth and development of the Bahamas, and we're going to pay for it. And we're paying for it now with the kind of burdens that we feel in the country. In the next few days, a number of people will be getting ready for back to school, and there'll be the mad rushes to who's going to get a desk and a chair. We anticipate that because it happens every year. What have we done is my question, to make sure that relief is imminent? Done hardly anything. We spin the same song every year, year in and year out. What is particularly disappointing as a senior journalist in this country, talk radio for 30 years in the whole field, what is particularly disturbing and distasteful and disappointing is that people who want to lead the country, they have not sat down and have come up with a requisite plan for an immigration policy. None of them. It's all jivey. It's all ad hoc. Can we have a comprehensive plan that can deal succinctly with the immigration problem? Knowing the nature of what it is that we're dealing with, knowing the fact that we've got people flowing from all around the world these days, not just from down Haiti, flowing into the country undocumented, taking up residence, occupying the land in many cases. In the interior, we don't know who they are, and from fraud and con games and illegal happenings in this country, no wonder the police sometimes seem overwhelmed. So what do we do? I've got a couple of questions today as I get ready to bring John Bostwick in so that we can talk really about this and see what we are supposed to be doing. Because, you see, I want to discuss this passionately, because this is a very emotive discussion. And there are many who are in here on us who don't belong here, but they're all over Facebook chatting and not understanding. Today, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you, the Bahamian people and Bahamian citizens of Haitian origin who are legal in the Bahamas, who got sense and who want to see things happen in a good way in our country. But I've got to ask some questions here. How are we just learning about this matter that happened in Abaco? How come we are just learning about it now? That the Department of Immigration basically got run out of parts of Abaco back in May during their, what do you call it? Not rounding up, what do you call it now? Their repatriation exercises, their collection, their apprehension. Did you realize that they got run out of Abaco? This is what Mr. Mitchell is talking about when he says about no-go zones are not tolerated and will not be tolerated. See, what has happened here that we missed? I want to bring this to your attention. When they went down to Abaco and there was great resistance and immigration could not carry out their jobs, no one told us a thing. Why didn't they tell us that in the government? That's information that we should have known. We only know about it now because of this incident that Mr. Mitchell refers to. We know about it now that they did not get to do their duties down there, and the government came back, said nothing about it. We're only hearing about it now, and you've got to wonder, you know what that means? That means that if they weren't able to carry out their jobs in an area that's predominantly of Haitian migrants coming into the country illegally, that means that we lost that round, that they are so emboldened that the police, the defense force, the agents of the state doing the job couldn't shake their world. That's something to think about. What if we were to multiply that particular incident with other areas in the Bahamas? It means that we have no control. And I'm surprised that we are just hearing it ad hocly because of this other incident that took place in Gamble Heights that the minister is just now telling us of the people who migrated, who left the scene in Abaco and came to New Providence. It means that the department at that particular exercise was of little effect. And that's something for all law-abiding citizens to be concerned about. How come the government of the Bahamas or the Department of Immigration or Mr. Mitchell himself didn't see fit as a sovereign government to send in an effective reinforcement team down in Abaco when that first case happened in May? How come they didn't do it? You see, that's why I tell you yesterday, this deceit, this deflection is going to cost us. We need honesty in government. We need honesty in the governance of the country. And that's why this one is something for us to pay attention to. We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about that with John Bostwick, about a immigration plan that perhaps could work, about trying to get to the bottom of as to what is happening with these problems that we are now seeing. This is a worthwhile discussion. And maybe if you sit back, you learn some stuff from it, because the truth is we have problems, insurmountable, it seems, in some cases, even though we are sovereign government. There are many things that we have to ask questions about. It's our job to do so. One of the questions we've got to ask, and not trying to rehash anything, but one of the questions we've got to ask. Okay, so Mitchell made a lot of noise about Sarkis Ismailian and how he would revoke his residency. You remember that? This was this is a multi-billion-dollar project that the Bahamas needs. Yet Mitchell was ready to let him know that we would revoke his permanent residency. We go back a couple of months before that when a young man who is also said to be a resident of the Bahamas of Haitian origin made a threatening remark to the entire state that we ignored. There was no talk about revocation of anything from that young man. And that's something to do with national security. This is a more important thing in my book. But for someone who is coming into the country, see, I'm only making that comparison to show you that something just ain't right. It don't jive right. And any person with common sense and logic thinking can see it. You don't say anything about revocation of a permit or charging somebody with sedition, though the threat was real, amplified, and very scary. Nothing happened. This permanent resident who is trying to build something in the Bahamas, not that I have any brief him, I'm just showing you something. The thinking. The minister is quick to say, don't forget, permanent residence permits can be revoked. You see, as much as you may not like me saying that, it has to be said. We've got to scrutinize these things and keep our ministers and our government honest and on their toes and with logical, methodical approaches to the many things that plague our nation. It's not easy governing. No, it's not. And it's easy for us to sit back and criticize when we are not intimately involved. I know. But you see, honesty is still the best policy. And because of the lack of it in some cases, we find ourselves in a quandary trying to figure out how, on one hand, minister can be very concerned about this so-called threat that no one heard the other day when apparently they had this meeting that he talked about, Fred Mitchell talked about. No one heard this threat. Mitchell says that it has to be investigated. But on the other hand, there was a threat that the nation heard thanks to the ZNS connection. We all heard the threat. It was real. There was ever-present danger. Nothing happened, friends. Now, it's incumbent upon you as a resident to make sure that we put these questions to our ministers of the government. Otherwise, we might as well not discuss the topic. Just let everything fall apart and you take what you get. But if we're serious about governance, if we're serious about building up a country and being fair with all of those persons, even those who came here illegally, if we are fair with them, and we want to be, and there is due process, we must be civil. We cannot pretend or lie about things, because this practice of lying and deceitfulness has cost the Bahamas tremendously. The truth is, we need a new brand of politicians, people who thinking like statesmen, people who want to go in there and serve. I read the bishop's response this morning to, I suppose, individuals wanting to get a follow-up story on this whole idea of corruption. And what comes through is that we are not an honest nation. We're still playing around. We still have elements in leadership that are questionable. And until we deal with those kinds of things, we will have more of the same problems in areas like immigration and crime fighting, in areas like a slow economy. So today we're going to talk about that, and we invite you at 325-023546, trying to have a sober conversation about what we should be doing and why it is important to get honesty and fair play out of those persons who we selected to lead the country. Outside of that, we are simply wasting our time. So today I want to start out with something that's kind of interesting, a soundbite that perhaps will set us on the right course so that you can see that we cannot make something illegal legal. And the fact is, this whole illegal matter in the Bahamas is somewhat of a major tax burden on the rest of us. And if you're not concerned about that, then I guess you love spending the kind of monies that you're spending on that and all the other things that may come along, because we've got problems that we have to pay for.
I'm still waiting for any government, not just this government. I'm still waiting for them to tell me what's the tax burden on the Bahamian citizens for this illegal immigration population that we have in the country. See, because you have a tax burden based on the institutions of government that they have to provide all these services for these illegals. And then secondly, the illegals, when they generate revenue within the country and not paying the taxes like they should, and then it's like an estuary where they feed, it's a flow out of the economy. And nobody is doing the proper analysis to determine these type of impacts. And all you want to do is go to the Bahamian citizen and increase the taxes. That extra $200,000 that they're talking about, that's coming out of some Bahamian citizen pocket. But you're not morally justified, in my estimation, to come and do that to the people when you're not doing what is necessary in terms, especially as it relates to illegal immigration. You can't just have all these people coming into your nation, placing all your burdens on your health services, your educational services, and all the other services that you provide. That's where the taxation is going, to generate these services for the government. That's why we're paying the taxes.
But somebody else's property.
And we paying for people who are not paying, are not participating in this revenue generation. That's absolutely ludicrous.
Housen Mutri, public commentator. Agree or disagree? Powerful statement. And maybe that's what has to happen, that we've got to talk the money side of things, since we don't seem to have enough sense to understand the burden that's upon the Bahamas with this particular vexing problem. So with Fred Mitchell making his statements this week, it has caused us now to look at a number of areas that we have to go and deal with effectively. And the biggest thing that really plagues the Bahamas, and I think that they're getting it now in the armed forces, is this illegal migration problem. See, there are a number of people who are here of Haitian heritage, who are decent people, who are law-abiding people, who are doing their jobs, who are trying to build the country. But there are a number of people in our country who sneak through the back door, They have no status. They're wreaking havoc upon the country. And we don't know who they are, where they come from, and where they are. We know there's an abundance of 46, perhaps that's the last count I got, of shanty towns. The government doesn't seem to have the ability to rid us of these shanty towns. So at any given day, we have all kinds of people here. We know that they're still coming in. We know that we get some, we send some home, but we know that they keep coming right back. We really do have a problem. Can't you see that? We really have a problem. Neighborhoods in our communities have been creolized. Some neighborhoods that were middle class neighborhoods, they're hanging fish out on the line to dry. See, something isn't right about it. It has changed our way of life. Some communities have been totally obliterated by the influx of the illegals. Angliston, St. Cecilia, Baintown, parts of Fox Hill. That's just on New Providence. Exuma and Eleuthera, yes. Grand Bahama, yes. Andros, yes. Long Island, no. Why? We've never really done this case study with Long Island. We just say, well, them people down there, they prejudice, is what we say. No, them people down there, they're Bahamians and they're organized and they don't give employment to anybody who don't belong on the island. And as a result, nobody goes there. No illegals go down there. Abaco, on the other hand, is the capital of illegals in the Bahamas. And this is because of the history. You go back and you see that there's certain business people who had farms down there and they brought in all kinds of people. And because there's no real proper system, people who came in to do agriculture ended up down there, staying down there, raising families, squatting on land, and a proliferation of illegals happened on Abaco. Some of them sit in the House of Assembly right now. Edison Key is one of them. He was one of these people who brought in a number of people. And a lot of those people have not been given the proper documentation. And when they mix and mingle, it's a problem. You don't know who's who. Now, we're not blaming Edison Key per se, but he ought to shoulder some of the responsibility like several others of them. But these are members of parliament, you see. And you know how that goes. Many of them are exempted. So when you really look at what our problem is, a lot of this we've brought upon ourselves because we have been part and parcel of a organized, but an unofficial organized, corrupt system of existence. You know yourself that you hired illegals to clean your yard. All that's a part of the problem. You know yourself that you falsified documents to have some people here. Why shouldn't those people feel emboldened to say and do some of the things that they're doing? Especially when the law seems to be relaxed on collection and repatriation. It seems like our government friends are in this position of sometimes we are a sovereign government a sovereign country where we will defend it to the tilt. And then sometimes we could relax that, depends on what the circumstances are. On this thing with this Meridian and the bankruptcy thing, we're a sovereign country. We can't tolerate nothing from Delaware. On the other hand, we forget that we're a sovereign country when it comes to sending these people back home. We are concerned and afraid of the United Nations and all the other people. So we are timid. And so this back and forth has gone on for so long now that it's become the normal. And all I'm saying is that don't get mad, you know. Put on your thinking caps, because it's our country and it's our future. What do you want for the future? If you want more of the same of people telling you lies and telling you, okay, this is okay, then you settle for that and you should not make any noise. Don't complain. Don't complain when they sit down in a group and say that they're conspiring to cause incitement. Don't complain because, you know, you've helped to harbor a lot of people there, because in the back of your mind, some politicians, not all, they're looking for votes. That's the story. That's what I'm thinking. You can challenge that. I'm listening to you. 325-023546. John, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Steve, and good afternoon to your listeners.
John, we're back, and it's sobering because of some things that Mitchell talked about. He put out a press release this week, and he talked about a number of things that have been happening in the country that involves migrant community of Gamble Heights, and a big incident that happened with the police, and a shooting, and the damaging of police vehicles, and all kinds of things. And then these people came out of the Abaco area into New Providence, avoiding collection, and they're here at Gamble Heights, and it's an area that some people consider to be a no-go zone. In other words, they are a law unto themselves. Don't come here. You can't come through here, not even police. And Mr. Mitchell is concerned about those things. Now, we know how we got here. All of us are guilty of how we got here by, you know, not doing our jobs, not reporting, not doing anything. But now we have a real problem on our hands, because Mitchell is basically, Mr. John Bostwick, admitting that some other things are happening undercurrent in our interior that can speak to the future of this Bahamas in not a pretty way. What do you make of it?
You know, Steve, first I'll say I listened to you yesterday on this point, and I thought that your focus on it was timely and spot on. And one of the things, you know, I'll preempt and caveat, forgive me, Steve, a little, what I'm going to say by saying that I have, in recent times, and I would say in recent past times, represented the owners of one of these properties that became a shanty town. And we had come up with some policies that we felt would enable this government and any administration to address and to in fact create a policy towards the systematic eradication of shanty towns as they exist, as those that exist, because my understanding of them, Steve, is more than one type of shanty town. There are those that exist as a result of persons, to a great part, illegals squatting on private land and in some ways overrunning the landlord or landowner, or where there's an absentee landowner, or whether the full ownership of the land might be in question. They take advantage of certain situations. And then there's the shanty town that is a managed operation for the harboring of illegals and or immigrant workers, where they are able to rent rooms for very, very low rates and very, very poor conditions. Steve, there are so many things that I could say to the release and the statements made by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration. And but one word sums it up is sad. Another one, pathetic. Another one, totally disappointing. For one who is talking so big and, you know, entered this political season talking about his tools and how big his tools are and what he can do with them, and has all of this big talk all over the world, and will champion any cause, no matter how distasteful it might be to others. You know, he's a biggity fellow, and making light and mockery in the face of great calamity, singing songs in Parliament, singing songs on the stage, I guess to show how strong he is, how fearless he is in the face of great calamity. I don't know what it is, but that he would issue a statement from his high office admitting defeat, admitting gross neglect, admitting failure, admitting dereliction of duty, and just kind of throwing up his arms. You know, the finger pointing going on amongst sworn cabinet colleagues. Was he really making a statement that did not point all 10 of his fingers at his associates and then maybe the 10 of his toes back at himself? Immigration is a uniformed service. Immigration is a uniformed service, Steve. They have the right to bear arms, you know. They can arm immigration officers, you know. They don't have to wait on the police to enforce their authority. Why are you looking across at national security as if yeah, national security got their role to do. They came in there to do a certain thing, and there were consequences and results, and the car got broken up, and even more things happened. Okay? So, but the dealing with the illegal immigrants, that's immigration. And so why can't immigration take their job seriously? And the truth is that when you look at the myriad, there was a caller who called in your show yesterday who hit the button on the head. There was a lady who called, and that lady kind of enunciated some of the thinking that I have on shantytowns, which is that because they offend so many government agencies, that there is no way you cannot address them simultaneously with shock and awe coming from every government agency that is offended by their presence. And I'm talking from the Ministry of Housing and Environment with regard to safety standards of the environmental conditions and the sanitation. Okay, Ministry of Works with regard to building codes and violations of building sanctions and such, unpermitted buildings without permit, much less coming anywhere near code, and all types of safety violations and fire code violations, all types of infractions, millions of them. They could pull code books all day. The police, looking for persons who have broken and contravened our laws, okay, even if that is just illegal entry. The Immigration Department. Okay, so when you descend upon any shanty town, you're descending upon them with the full might of the government and all of its agencies that are coming in, that are moving persons out, relocating them temporarily while that land is cleared. See, there's no discussion about where and what and how. We have places where we can house them, even if it is a detention center. Those who are there for that temporary period in time and who have any legal status will present that. Okay, but the fact that they are allowed, look, we go and call the bailiff and pull Bahamians out of properties that they're squatting in illegally. We don't really worry where they're going. We don't have the social services agent standing up next to the bailiff saying, we're going to find you someplace to go now that you've been turfed out of this place where you are illegally occupying. Okay, we don't offer that to our own. Okay, so.
Are you saying that we should really do it is the administration of the law and not worry about the consequences of what some would call the human compassion, those at the United Nations level? I mean, I'm just asking because it seems as if we ought to do our jobs and apply the law.
Steve, with this Gamble Heights situation, and again, I am so cautious of reports until I really could speak to somebody who I know was there firsthand. I'm so very cautious. I'm sorry to be that way, but
you must. There's a lot of deceit that's happening.
So much, like you say. There's so much purposeful misdirection and deceit coming from all areas. You really don't know what the truth of a situation is. Okay, but if it is as it is being reported, I could not see any reason why the full authority of our uniformed services, including armed immigration officers, police, and defense force, weren't sent in to clear out Gamble Heights, to clear out the shanty town, and to place every person in that shanty town in the detention center, giving them 24 hours to produce documentation. Barring that, every best one being deported, and they could fight their case for repatriation from there, those who might have been wrongly deported. And within that same 24 hours, I would have the bulldozers with the Ministry of Works and the environmental health inspectors running through there and plashing that place with red letters and red notices, and gone. There wouldn't be nothing to come home to. Okay, so the sometimes even governments must be in the position of acting and looking at the international community. Okay, you come and you criticize what has been done, but it has been done. You understand?
Yeah. The people in the Dominican Republic, they did what they did, notwithstanding a court case, notwithstanding serious opposition from the international human rights advocates. They did what they did. It's been very effective, and it's been full of impact. And we may even be getting an influx of some of those persons extracted from the Dominican Republic here in the Bahamas, because there are any number of new people and new faces around in various communities that speak English fluently, Spanish, and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if the government of the Bahamas has made any statement, has made any observations, and if they've told the Bahamian public that these are things that you ought to look out for. See, immigration is a big thing, and all of us can help to assist, but you don't hear any bulletins along the lines that, we believe there's such and such a thing. If in the case where you may hear this kind of thing happening, please report. These are the hotline numbers. It's almost as if we are just talking to hear ourselves, and that we're not really, truly, seriously making an effort to clean up immigration. I'm hoping, you see, I hate to be the one to be to sound like a Dowden Thomas on this matter with Mr. Mitchell, because what I'm seeing here is that he is talking about something that we've always been talking about, and then suddenly it becomes a priority matter. I don't know what's driving that. And maybe Mr. Mitchell knows a whole lot more than he has said, and so that's enough for me to be concerned to open the discussion again about immigration dispassionately and to find out what we may be able to do as a society, as a people. John Bostwick, where do we start from? Where do we start from? If Mr. Mitchell has said to the public that what is needed is the removal of these shanty towns, he's the government. He's the minister, substantive minister. He didn't say, it is my leave to now and go and ensure that we are removing these shanty towns in association with my colleagues in the various agencies. He says, what is needed is a removal of these shanty towns. See, I'm saying, let's talk direct. We know what has to happen. Can we bring all the agencies on board and make it happen? And do you think the government is prepared to do that? Given the fact that in the past, many people believe politicians have been the purveyors of this kind of madness because there's an ulterior motive at the end of the day, looking for support from those who may be of Haitian heritage and who can now vote in the Bahamas.
Steve, when you look at, as you say, an ulterior motive, and the ulterior motive is centered around votes, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Just to water it straight down, potential of votes. So we say, is it possible that they are not acting on these shanty towns because of votes? And not just the votes in the shanty towns, the votes from the Haitian Bahamian community.
Mm-hmm.
This administration has flown in the face of the entire Christian Council and the Greater Church on the referendum and the entire voting population of the Bahamas. Those very same voters, the vote that they're counting and they're worried about, they said, we're going to follow your position on gaming. And they had a referendum and spent $5 million on the low side, changed a law or two. The people said no. People said no, resoundingly, no. They said, forget you. We don't care what you think. We don't care about your vote. We don't care what y'all gonna do in the next 5 years. We going with it. Do what y'all gonna do. We don't care about that. Okay, move along nicely. All right. VAT. People screaming, Christ no. The entire business community, the Chamber of Commerce, Employers Federation, representing thousands of people. Everybody saying, no, don't do this to us. We don't care what you say. Y'all can feel this. We're putting this on you. We don't care about your vote. This is the right thing. This is what we say we can do. And y'all can go at this. Now, shanty towns that are affecting 5 to 7 ministries, the people are screaming, please, for Christ's sake, get rid of them. Please, get rid of them. It may help you. We may even vote for you. We may forget all the praying. Please. And they're saying for some reason they can't address that. See if something ain't adding up. Okay? Because if it's just a matter of counting votes, they've already shown that they don't care about the people in their vote. So why don't they care about the Haitian Bahamian community and their vote? Is they care about the Haitian Bahamian community's vote more than they care about the Bahamians community, the native Bahamians?
Well, John,
vote?
let's do the math. If there are more of them than us,
maybe that's what we're understanding. Maybe that's what we must actually sit down and actually calculate and understand. And one of the reasons, Steve, I say that we must look at that and also think about this, and this is why the last time we discussed this, without being overly complex and complicated, we must really sit down and look at it when we discuss who is and what is a Haitian Bahamian and how we are defining that and who it is that we, the so-called Bahamian, has an issue with. We have the issue with this new wave post-80s, Papa Doc, economic, illegal immigrant. That's what we're talking about. Somewhere in the 80s, somewhere around about there. 80s and 90s, 30 years, we're talking about that. Because prior to that, there were also Haitian immigrants coming to this country who, for the most part, prior to those waves of people fleeing the tyranny of the Duvalier regimes, there were persons who were coming here who were very much productive, who were, in fact, who were state nation builders here. The
Very
Stephen
true.
DeLace.
Very true.
Okay. The Goodmans. Okay. You have persons who, and again, some very, very leading Bahamian families who have at their grandparents' level, leading members of the Haitian community. Haitians. They have assimilated into our culture. They have been absorbed into who we define as raw-born Bahamians. When you go to our southern islands, the Haitian lineage in our southern islands is strong. Very strong. So when you go even sometimes as far as Cat Island, a lot of those names are French Creole names. They are Bahamian surnames, and we fight and defend those names aggressively. But they are Haitian Creole names. So when we sit down, and that's why we have to sit back, Steve, you know, just like how you're doing now, lean back and look at this. Look at it with long sight, not just with short sight. Look at it with long sight. And look at it as to say, to what extent is the Haitian Bahamian the person who can trace their roots back 2-3 generations? They get to their grandparents. There are people who've been in the Bahamas from the 60s, but they were no less Haitian. So on independence, they became Bahamian, but they were no less full Creole speaking Haitian. And I term those people as the Haitian Bahamian. I don't even like the term, to be honest, but Bahamian of Haitian descent, if you want to use that.
I think that you hit it earlier when you said that we're talking basically those from the 80s, 90s, thereabouts that have come, this new influx, this new wave of a new generation of people who in fact come looking to take and not to give, looking to destroy in many cases and not really build, because they come from a different time, a different hustle. The mindset, like in all,
they come from a different level of violence.
Yes,
they come from a level of tyranny. They understand an oppression and the resistance to an oppression that we can't really comprehend. They understand the Tom Maku. They understand Aristide's paramilitary. They understand some hell on earth. And at the same time, just as those people fleeing that oppression and lack of opportunity came, when the Tom Maku was overthrown, a lot of them came too. So you have that level of violence, that level of oppression mixed in amongst
now here in the Bahamas.
That is mixed in amongst all of this. So not only do you have the Haitian laborer or the Haitian person who is an economic refugee fleeing and looking for a different opportunity, you have his taskmaster moving right behind him as well. And again, in the form of former Tom Maku, Aristide paramilitary, and new form Haitian gangsters being released from the U.S., whose port of entry was the Bahamas. It is a very, very complex situation that we're looking at.
We are aware of it, John.
Okay.
We are aware of it in the governance of the Bahamas. The government, successive governments have been quite aware of this. This isn't anything new to us. The thing is, how have we responded to all of this? You know that we can't continue to take the offloading of them into the Bahamas. You know that. You know that we can't survive our way of life with this new thing of a violent group of people who, by any means necessary, the gangster style of things, gun violence and everything else. It's a scary situation. Now, knowing that, as legislators, you sat in the Senate. People are in the Parliament where laws must be passed. We don't live in a bubble. We don't live in a vacuum. We are here. We know what is happening. We have made no provisions, Mr. Bostwick, to deal with this thing in a comprehensive way that's going to be effective.
Steve, I say to you that we have made provisions. We are just not using them. A lot of people always want to talk about new this and new that. We need to actually deal with the laws
that we now have,
and
we're not enforcing them.
You know, we don't. There's no political will to enforce the laws that exist. Period. Okay, and so to finish my line of thought earlier, I would dare say, I have friends and associates, business colleagues who fit that description of Haitian with Bahamian with Haitian ancestry.
Yes.
Okay. Who are not happy with this new influx at all.
I know.
And I'm not happy with the tension that it is creating between them who hold this country as theirs and those who are coming in.
You're dead right. Hold your thought.
I am a Bahamian of Haitian heritage.
Yes.
And I am proud to be a Bahamian. My three siblings and I were all born in the Bahamas in the 1960s and early 70s.
Understood.
My parents are naturalized Bahamians. I have a concern.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yes, sir. I am sometimes embarrassed and ashamed of this Haitian diaspora crisis. It's very vexing to the Bahamas, and it's a burden on the resources of this country. The Bahamas is a blessed nation, always was and always will be. Concerning this Haitian diaspora crisis, something needs to be done because there's a lot of exploitation going on in the Bahamas. It's big money interest.
Yep.
Big money order. You know, the government is doing the best that it can with the resources that they have in terms of apprehension, detention, and repatriation.
Yes.
But I feel like more persons need to come forward, especially those Bahamians like myself who were born in the Bahamas of Haitian heritage. We need to contribute more to the country. My loyalty is with the Bahamas. I have never went to Haiti. I have no interest. My loyalty is with the Bahamas first and foremost. I have never put up a Haitian flag on my car, and I never will. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to incite any hate or anything.
No.
I just want to be objective. Because honestly, I don't like what I see is happening to my country. I really don't like it. Especially in the over the hill inner city areas. It's bombarded with a lot of foreign nationals. Sometimes you go certain places, you go to restaurants, you try to figure out, because I speak the language, I know who is who. But then I can imagine those who don't, even the tourists. It's a lot of work needs to be done, and a lot of these employees, it isn't really the foreigners' responsibility. It has a lot to do with the employers. Employers of these business establishments that are hiring these persons and knowing that these persons, some of them have no status because they work for less, they are hired.
Yes, you're right about it.
I'm telling you, Steve, because I know I have friends in the circle, and we talk about this every day. Even myself as a Bahamian, I am even hurt because I feel like it's a lot of discrimination. Bahamians discriminate against their own.
Yes.
And even a lot of these foreign employers, they prefer to hire foreign employees.
And not the truth. That was a call that we had in discussing this whole matter a couple of weeks ago of Haitian heritage, who calls herself a Bahamian because she is proud to be that and is moving away from anything else. And John, that brings me to a point. Patrick, I'm coming to you right now. That brings me to a point. It is all well and good for even the new ones who come and get regularized in the Bahamas to be assimilated into the country. That's fine. We can live with that. But what a lot of people cannot live with is that the refusal to assimilate, to pay homage to the flag, the national flag, to adopt those things Bahamian. One lady called me and told me that she's of Haitian heritage and she's a Bahamian, and she want to raise a Haitian flag and she ain't checking what we say because that's her blood. And that is where the problem is. There's some who have decided that, yes, I've left that country alone. It was not my problem. I was born here. I'm a victim of circumstances. I hear mommy them talking about what happened back there, but I'm Bahamian. I'm going to live like a Bahamian. Others have refused to do that. In fact, others are bringing their ideas of what's happening there in Haiti here and believe that this is okay. And so in celebrating certain things, there's nothing wrong with celebrating and marking the historical occasions of anything by any nationality. But when it's going to be flaunted to the point where, and that's what the lady is calling about during that show, where it's going to be an insult and egregious to the people in the country that you've adopted as home, you have a problem. That means that you're here to enjoy the benefits, but you're not here heart and soul. That's why every day when I open the show, I say I talk to Bahamians, born Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. And that's what our difficulty is. We don't have people who are here who have the heart of a Bahamian to say, well, this is my country. This is what we're going to build this. If you're here, let's build it. Why destroy it? That's what the problem is, John. Now, how do we get around that? Because there's no way of legislating anything that will stop a person from wanting to play and bear and lean into their roots, their lineage, and do the things of their lineage in another country where they are born but refuse to accept the ways.
Steve, you know, I watched something that I found very disturbing. People could find it online, but it was about the methods used by the original United States of America, Americans, those Americans, in dealing with the original North American Native Indian when they determined that they were going to erase all things native from them. And to the point of taking children away from their parents and putting them in indoctrination schools for years. I go that way to say that when you take on a new country, when you are becoming a citizen of America, but when you enter a new country, and even with our own children, Steve, we don't do enough of any of Bahamianization of our children. We don't do enough in our school system from primary school, where children are taught of the greatness of the Bahamas, of the greatness of Bahamians, of the greatest Bahamians through time. And you are taught a lot about colonial things and Columbus and all the rest of it, but you have to really be indoctrinated with what it is to be Bahamian, what it is and how great it is to be Bahamian, how beautiful it is to be Bahamian, how bountiful it is to be in the Bahamas, how lucky we are to be in the Bahamas. And that has to be a part of a curriculum. You must indoctrinate you don't think Americans who have come across now as one of the poorest educated countries in the Western world, but if there's one thing an American is proud of, is being American.
Absolutely.
If it's one thing he knows without knowing anything else, is I'm American and I'm proud, USA. All right. That's all he knows. He's been programmed to that. It's not a mistake. Okay. You watch enough American TV and you start to think it's the greatest country in the world. From the advertisement, from the spin, from the drive, it's brainwashed, it's programmed, it's hammered into you. And we don't do that. Okay. So we don't do that with our own. But the truth is that anybody coming into this country, anybody wanting to, when they turn 18, they say, now I was born here and I would like to apply. By that time that person has made that decision, they should have been so indoctrinated with things Bahamian that that's all they know and desire and crave and will ever want to be. And that is a part of the policy of what the state has to do. And that wouldn't only have an effect on the illegal immigrant or the immigrant who is going through your system, but it'll have an effect on your people. Another part of it, Steve, see, a lot of this is broad, you know. We as Bahamians don't feel enough ownership in our society, which is why we allow other people to come in and parasite it. We're not realizing to the extent to which that is ours, that they are taking something from us, something that we are paying for, that we are paying to maintain through our hard work, sweat, labor, and tax dollar, because we have so many invisible taxes. We don't see the tax. So we don't really feel it as much as we should feel it when there are 45 communities within our little Nassau that are off the grid, but not off the grid. They are consuming power from somewhere, but it's just in the black market. Okay, they're getting services from somewhere, but it's just in the black market. They're getting health services, they're getting education services, they're getting all types of things
that we are paying for. We are paying for it. Okay, and because we tend not to feel our tax, because we didn't pay our income tax, we didn't pay this, and we don't really realize you're paying for these people, you know.
Let me take some calls. I've got Patrick holding and many other calls. Thanks for holding. Don't hang up. I'm coming now. Patrick, how are you?
Hi, Steve.
Peace.
We're listening for forever, but yesterday and today really, you know, I had to call, but to call you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Boswick, how are you doing?
Well, sir, how are you?
Wonderful. You know, Steve, listening to what you went through yesterday and what we're going through today, and looking at the situation that we're in, a couple of things pop into mind that are you can't miss. First of all, what the Dominican Republic has done. If you notice, they didn't spend no $200 million, and they have simply put laws in place to deal with the illegals, enforce the laws, and guess what? The illegals are leaving voluntarily.
Yeah.
You know, so we have problems with our leaders. We have leaders that don't lead; they get talk. Another example is Prime Minister Cameron of the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
He put things in place where you can't rent to illegals. If you get caught hiring illegals, you get huge fines. And we Bahamians have been begging for these things for decades, and nothing has happened. You know, so again, we have a leadership problem. We have poor management, extremely poor management. You know, when you look at what the Haitians did to the immigration officers in Abaco and Gamma Heights, they chased them out of there. This shows Bahamians what Bahamians need to do. Need to chase these lousy politicians out of Parliament. Otherwise, we aren't getting anywhere. All we do is talk. You know, you got to get to a point where we need some action. You know.
No question.
Yeah, prayers are good, but to talking and you make it, Mr. Boswick. You know, I like the way you talk, but you know, Steve always has said several times that the Free National Movement has not come up with their plan for the deal with illegals. But the thing that no one has mentioned yesterday or today as yet, don't forget that the Free National Movement solution to the Haitian invasion was to teach Bahamian children Creole and for Bahamians to learn Creole. And you know what that means.
Yeah. We make a note of that, Pat. You make some very good points. I shall ask Mr. Boswick about that. In fact, he's made notes to address that.
Just one more point, Steve.
Sure.
When you compare the Bahamas to two countries that are similar to the Bahamas, that is the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, their immigration policies. Do you know that in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, no one can get a citizenship if they do not have any heritage to those countries? Now, why our politicians want to hand out citizenships to people that hate us, they want to destroy us, they want to kill us, and want to commit all kind of fraud against us is absolutely asinine. It makes no sense. I mean, that's like Iraq saying, ISIS are all God's children. Let's give some citizenships to them.
We better start thinking soberly, hey? I appreciate what you're saying, Patrick. You put on the table for debate.
All right, Stephen.
Thank you kindly. John, you made your notes of what he's talking about, the policies of the Free National Movement as it relates to this immigration problem. I have not really heard, and maybe I'm just mistaken, or no one has given me the documentation, but there's been no articulated position on the Haitian problem in particular, the illegal problem, the migration problem in particular, new policies of immigration, what we would like to see. We see criticism and we hear them, but what's the policy and what will we do in the governance of the Bahamas should they, the FNM, be elected as the next government? This is a major issue. I want you to think about that as I take a call from Brown on 4 Turner, and of course, holding on line 1, I don't know what that is. Logic, I guess. Logic, how are you?
Hey, like, you working on?
Yes, sir. Hi, Logic. What's up?
Hello?
Yes, you're on live with Hard Copy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I don't have much patience for the political talk or being politically correct. When you have gentlemen like Mr. Boswick who represented a family or persons who own the shantytown. Now, when he can explain or basically name those persons, then we can talk. Now, with the situation with persons who are indoctrinated with a certain culture, how can Bahamians expect anything different from some persons who are sheltering themselves in shantytown, indoctrinating their children with their language and their culture? How can we expect anything different from those type of families?
I didn't get you clear. How come you didn't do what?
How can we expect anything different when you have families take their children into shantytowns, indoctrinate those children with their culture, with their language?
Yes, I see.
How can we treat them anything other than foreigners?
Yeah, well, that's the case. I mean, they've not assimilated. They don't want to. The fact that they are living in the bush, so to speak, tells you that they are separate and apart from the regular heartbeat of a society. You've got to question that.
When those children come out now and they in our atmosphere and they're shouting loyalty to Haiti, what do we expect?
No, I don't expect any different. I think that you're absolutely right. But until we do something with the shanty towns and
until successive governments who should have done something with those now actually start to get rid of those shanty towns and make those persons pay taxes like the rest of us, make them feel a part of what it means to be Bahamian, and okay, you actually make it put part of doing something to better the country, then maybe they'll feel some kind of ownership to it.
I understand. I appreciate your call. He's talking about not having a stake in the land and people who congregate in these communities because they feel that this is what they want to be in a country that's free, that they can do other things, but they want to be together in a community. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can do it legitimately. Who's to say that a Haitian group of people who are legalized in the Bahamas cannot get a builder's permit, cannot buy plots of land and live in a communal setting? Legally, who's to say that can't happen? But people have decided that that's not going to happen because they've taken it into their own hands.
Steve, 2 points. I don't like to pick with people, but to address the caller, as I opened with on this, I don't know if he listened from the start. As I opened with, I did represent persons who owned Bahamians, who owned a piece of land, that inherited a piece of land, in fact, in an estate. And in that inheritance was a portion of land on which persons had squatted for quite some time and established a shanty town. It is pathetic and almost the height of ignorance for a person to ask an attorney to reveal their client's identity and their client's privileged information. I mean, that is so pathetic and sad. So it is that I should not pick with such a person. But to say that the policies that we came up with the government, the policies that we developed to encourage and invite in the Ministry of Environmental Health to post notices and to invite in the Ministry of Works to post notices, these very same policies that I outlined to you in the beginning of this conversation, so as to justify the eradication of that shantytown as suggested by the council representing the Bahamian owners who were in fact being violated by those persons' presence. And really, I'm still hopeful that the government will fully respond and fully act through its agencies to fully clear that land and move forward with the proposed development of that land as has been proposed by the owners, looking and begging to form a public-private partnership with the government towards the eradication of the shantytown on that property. So again, for persons to speak and then to talk about, I don't subscribe to this ghetto communities. And ghettos could be nice, all right, but where you have a subculture within your culture, within your
not a good thing,
within your home country, who are wanting all to live together, wanting to pool their assets in order to build their wealth and their strength within your community. No, they're not trying to build your community via their presence and their labor. They are trying to build themselves through your community in order to rebuild their homeland and or to build up their self and their selected individual.
You don't support that?
No, I don't support that.
Understood.
If you're in the Bahamas and you're here to contribute to the Bahamas, that's what it is. And Steve, one of the things I have an issue with the citizenship
We give citizenship to persons who have to renounce their original citizenship. And there's an issue in the Haitian Constitution for a person who is Haitian. They're not enabled. My understanding is that their constitution doesn't allow them to renounce citizenship. So if my constitution says that in order to accept citizenship, you have to renounce, and by your constitution you can't renounce, that eliminates you.
Yeah, you're not able to qualify.
You can't qualify.
This is a simple thing.
This is a serious thing, though. This is a serious thing of international law. You can't qualify. So you need to go back home and convince your singing, dancing Prime Minister who is Sweet Mickey, to change your constitution, which will never happen, okay? But to change your constitution to allow you, even if it's just for the specific special instance of accepting Bahamian citizenship should you qualify, just even that instance, you have to be able to reject, to renounce, to disown and disavow Haiti. And you have to raise your children under that understanding that they ain't Haitian. That ain't nothing about them Haitian. That they can't go there.
You know that's not the case.
Well, that's my condition.
And I agree with you. And you're absolutely right. In law and by the Constitution of Haiti.
And by the spirit of what it is to say that you have adopted my country.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, you know, and I know, either because of ignorance or just them being belligerent and deciding that they're always going to be who they are. They're not interested. They want the profits of the land. When I say they, that's not everybody. That's some, because in every nationality, there are some who are good and bad and ugly. And I mean ugly by ways and attitude. So this is something that's very, very important that we should make a note of. I want to mark that soundbite there, because I think that's an insightful bit of information just now from Bostwick that a lot of people have not considered. They have to renounce, but they cannot renounce based on their constitution. It doesn't allow them to renounce. And that is even if they are born in the Bahamas and never been to Haiti, to Haitian parents. The trouble is you are Haitian by the Haitian Constitution. And so while that is not a good thing that you would like, the bottom line is that it is what it is. Let's talk with Brown. How are you?
Hey, Steve. How you doing? Good show.
Very good.
And to John, you know, what John said stands out because it's the same as Greece. In the future, they wish to tax their citizens no matter where they go in the globe. And so that's what's coming next once they start making money. But you know, Steve, in 2011, 2012, we handed out passports like candy.
Yes, we did.
Another thing I want you to note is this. Who is a Bahamian? Remember that sign used to be there on
Blue Hill Road, bottom of Cumberland Street.
And I tell anybody that has to ask who is a Bahamian, including Loftus Roque, who I spoke with a little while back. Watch that Collect commercial. You see that new commercial?
Yes, I saw it.
That I was so proud. That tells you what a Bahamian is. And I told Loftus Roque, to find a Bahamian, you say, where your ma from? Nassau. Where your Grammy from? Nassau. Where your great Grammy from? Nassau. Everybody from Nassau? No, Steve. When you ask me where I'm from, I'm Abaco and Luther, proud of it. And you could call the settlement and you could ask.
Yeah.
You know this guy? So it's an easy way to find out who's a real Bahamian. But let's, real quick.
My Grammy from Nassau.
Right. But your great Grammy or your great grandpa. But anyway, let's move on. 1980, 1970, John, it was a different type of concept to come and annex the Bahamas. Now, I don't know if we need to get rid of Mr. Mitchell and get some of those DR MPs here, because Dominican Republic, they had no problem fixing their immigration problem. But Mr. Mitchell, I want him to know on this show, he said there were 50 shanty towns in New Providence. He's removed 5 and talking about number 6. So he's a sad MP. We're the only place outside of the Caribbean, but close to it, where anything buck up go. You go to Miami, you have to rent a place. You don't live in the bush. And the sad thing is, we're called bad, John, but we give free food, free healthcare, free roads, free education, etc. You call us bad. It's easy for 350,000 people to be annexed or overthrown by 10 million people. Remember that. Good show.
Thanks for your call. And quite interesting. Let me talk. I think this is Turner. Turner, is that you? Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm listening to you.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Peace, all is well.
I'm Mr. Bostwick. How are you?
Very well, sir.
Good. This is a nice show. I like that soundbite you played with the lady who has I think her parents is Haitian.
Yep.
the Haitian Bahamian. And what she said, I have friends who are Haitians, and they have that very, very same thinking. That they have that very same mindset. I remember one time it was a Haitian flag day, and I joking with one of my friends. I said, "Well, why aren't you wearing your flag? Why aren't you wearing your T-shirt?" He looked me straight in the eye and he said, "Haiti never educated me. I never went to a Haitian clinic to actually immunize me." He said, "Haiti never looked for my welfare. So why should I put on a Haitian shirt?" I said, "Why?"
Yeah.
All right, and that was paramount to me. And you know, Steve, there is a would-be Haitian Bahamian activist making the rounds. I'm not going to call his name. But he was on. He had his own talk show. He was kicked off that talk show, and he's making the rounds. And he's trying to. I don't know what he's trying to do. And you know, I think there's something very, very sinister about him. And I'll tell you why. And he probably is listening, and you probably know who I'm talking about. I'll tell you why I think there's something sinister about him. When that Haitian male went on WhatsApp, and well, it went on WhatsApp and it made the rounds. It went viral that he went to Colombian necktie Bahamians. All right, that very same activist who always says when he first come on the show that he is a Bahamian and he is proud to be a Bahamian and he is this and he is that Bahamian. When that guy came out of jail, that guy went and met him and put his face along with his face.
Yeah, I saw that.
And my thing, well, you saw it, right?
Yes, you
good.
did.
My thing is this: if you have such a strong stance and you want to be a Bahamian and you want to do so good, do so much good, and you want Haitians to do this and they want to be a part and you want to recognize them, why would you put your face along with a guy who wants to do
the opposite? Yeah.
And you know, ill will your people, who you call your people. He claims to be a Bahamian, but he put his face along with this guy's face. And from that day, Steve, because I listened to him off and on, and I thought he was into that. It's some good things to say. From that day on, from my Zedness, and I saw his face along with that guy's face. I said, no, something is wrong.
I appreciate what you're saying. Good point. Good point.
He's trying to galvanize the people, and when these people come to the forefront of this country, our country, he wants his name to be there.
Yeah.
He's looking for a platform. He's looking for a foundation. I don't know. Like I say, to me, and this is my view, there's something sinister afoot about him. Now, Mr. John Bostwick, you need to get your act together. You are a right-thinking young Bahamian like myself. You need to get to the forefront, and you need to do some things. You know, there are many young Bahamians with your thought process. You know, I wish that you guys would get together and move this country forward. Put the young minds, the young, bright Bahamian minds in the forefront and move this country forward with 21st century thinking. I'll sit back and listen to you guys.
Thank you very much for your participation. Two little things quickly, because I've got to pivot to go to a break, but two little things quickly, or maybe one. And that is that you talk about this young man and what has been happening. There are people with ambition in every country, in every nationality, in every culture, who want to rise up and be noted and be recognized and also want to lead. But one must recognize that when you are in such a position, you can lead and you can be a real great influence if you help to lead by educating your people about the ins and outs, the rights and the wrongs, and not trying to be a rebel rouser where you're just talking things based upon emotion and trying to lead a people who are misdirected and who are in many cases are illegal. The premise is wrong. But then again, egotism is another way of looking at it. Some people got this big ego that I'm the man, I'm the key, come to me. And that's the way it is. So Mitchell may not be wrong in looking at and scrutinizing and calling for an investigation for this same young man that you're talking about, who happened to be amplifying and projecting his views about what Mitchell called incitement at this particular meeting. So if that's what's going to happen, we expect to hear Mr. Fred Mitchell come back with another report and say, this is the findings of the investigation, and here's what we are going to do. Because like anything else, the government of the Bahamas, and the Minister of Immigration in particular, has the right to revoke somebody's residency or citizenship if they are causing problems in the country. They have a right. The laws are there, but we need to apply it. I think I've got the Shadow Minister of Immigration on the line, and Mr. Hubert Chipman on 3. I'll take his call before I run to the break. Mr. Chipman, how are you, sir?
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Peace and
Hubert
love.
Chipman here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was listening to your show with you and John Boswick with interest, and it's a topic today that I'm very, very interested in. You said earlier that where are we going from here? I am about to go to a church service to celebrate our anniversary, but
Yes.
I want to invite myself to your show, Steve.
Man, I told you, Mr. Chipman, that you have a
I
walk
know
on.
you told me.
You have a walk-on.
Matter of fact, I was on your show. We talked a lot about immigration, foreign affairs. Now it's the time to get back and tell you. Or you asked about our platform earlier.
Yes, I want to know.
Platform.
Yeah, well, let me say to you right now that I can confirm that on Wednesday of the coming week, I would love to have you on the show.
Well, Steve, you can confirm that now.
Okay, Nathan, that's done.
All right.
Wednesday,
I would
Mr.
like to
Hubert
come on your show on Wednesday and talk about what the F&M is about as far as foreign policy is concerned, immigration is concerned, and what is transpiring in our country today. Because it seems as if the Minister of Foreign Affairs is skipping from topic to topic. And I guess that the hot topic now is foreign affairs. It was financial services. It was Long Island. I mean, it's just so many things. He's skipping from.
What do you make of this, though? Let me ask you right now, Hubert Chipman, what do you make of this idea that the Department of Immigration can go into an area like Abaco and not, my information, and this is the first time I'm saying this, is that they were palted. You know what we mean by that?
What I didn't get that, Steve.
That they were palted, that the people threw things at them.
Well,
That
Steve, the difference is, Steve, are you in control of your country?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. What do you make of that Minister Mitchell is now coming?
Zone.
Minister Mitchell is now saying to us that he's concerned and he's bringing up some things that we should have known about long ago, but we seem to have been
The thing is, I look
distracted.
at it, Steve, as an incitement right now, right? When you look at, you're trying to incite the people. I know election time is about around the corner. So, I mean, all of we is one. Yes, we are one. But the question is, how do we go about these things throughout a tenure of 5 years? There must be a plan. There must be a strategy in order to get where you're going.
Yes.
Right now, I don't see that.
Yeah, well, I would want to talk with you because we are all concerned. I think that immigration, again, is going to be a very, very pivotal position in the upcoming elections because people are sick and tired. They're growing sick and tired by the day, and they don't see any hope on the horizon as to what's going to be the alternative and how people are going to move forward with our very vexing and complex, complicated and convoluted immigration policy and that of migration into the Bahamas.
We were aware about the shanty towns in this country for so long. I think it was announced several years ago at the time Brian McCartney was the Minister of State for Immigration. There was 37 shanty towns listed at that particular time.
Yeah.
We know it's not a matter of we don't know. And then we come out and we talk about this new immigration policy. And I said at the time when I was on your show, it's all about enforcement. It went away, now it's back.
Yeah.
Now school is about to open. You're going to hear a lot of stuff going on with the schools and stuff like that. And yes, I told you so. And we're going to have roundups. The question is, what is the strategy? Yeah. Where do we go? How do we deal with it? I heard earlier that you talk about the Dominican Republic. Yes, they enforce their laws. Okay?
That's the difference.
That's the difference. Right? The question is, what law do we enforce in this country?
Yeah.
And I leave that there because I have to go, Steve. And
I appreciate it. We get you next week, Wednesday at 5.
Big Wednesday, it's a go.
I appreciate it. Thank you kindly.
Okay, Steve. Okay, John.
Okay, great.
Take care, Chippy.
Hubert Chipman, Shadow Minister of Immigration, chiming in on this topic. We have to discuss it dispassionately because, as I said yesterday in my discussions of it, and me being very, very upset and vexed about the matter, that we can have this preponderance of people continuously telling us lies and deflections and stuff. I'm sick of it. The time has come for us to deal with the matter effectively, efficiently, soberly, collectively.
Steve, with fairness, I hear the Dominican Republic. If the Dominican Republic was so good at enforcing their laws, their numbers would not have gotten up to a quarter million people.
I agree with you.
Okay? If they were so good at it. But what has happened and what's about to happen here is that a generation of Dominicans woke up. Okay? And a generation of Dominicans said, we don't care how long it's been this way and how long it's been that way and how long and how many administrations have not dealt with it and knew the problem was going to be the problem and saw the problem and then discussed the problem. We're going to deal with it, and we don't care how much of them it is. Time has come. So again, political will is all about political will, and who has that political will. The born-free generation of Bahamians got that political will. And I am very, very hopeful and excited to hear firm, strong policy coming from all parties. In fact, we all need to come with one mind. Steve, these issues are national. These issues are national. These are Bahamian issues. Haiti, one of the things I'm going to show you during the break is a video that I've been showing people of the development in Haiti. Most people, when I show them the video, I don't tell them where it is. I said, where do you think that is?
They can't believe it.
Oh, New York or Spain or this or that. I said, no, come closer. They will not, they'll never get it. I could win money off it. All right. 9% of the Haitian population are millionaires. You said there are 10 million of them there.
Yeah.
Which means that there's twice as many millionaires in Haiti as there are Bahamians in the Bahamas. Nearly 3 times.
That's right.
Nearly 3 times as many Haitian millionaires.
3 times as much as our population.
As our population.
Absolutely.
So why is any Haitian problem a Bahamian problem?
It's not. Let's run to the break. This is Hard Copy. John Bostwick is with me today. We're looking at Fred Mitchell's, the Honorable Fred Mitchell's position on this matter that has sparked another good conversation about immigration and what we ought to be doing to get this country right. And every Bahamian who is Bahamian by birth, Bahamian by citizenship, Bahamian by heart and spirit, they want to see a change. They want to see a change in what we're doing. It is just too much. And obviously, if you look down the road, the country is not getting any better. There are too many things happening, popping up, and it plays into crime and a poor economy and a low level of living. But we don't seem to get it. Or is it that we're happy that we live in a gated community away from all this stuff and you wonder what the fuss is all about? This is Hard Copy. We're coming back. Hold the lines in just a minute.
Great news. We have a chance to experience the magic of the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, courtesy of Visa.
That's great, but did you really need another bathing suit?
I'm just showing my support for the swimming event.
And the skirt?
For the tennis, babe.
So these high heel shoes must be for track and field then.
Of course not. They're for the nightlife. We're going to Rio, aren't we?
It's easy. Get approved for a Visa RBC credit card or use your existing Visa RBC credit or debit card for a chance to win. Visa, worldwide sponsor of the Olympic Games. Call or visit any RBC branch for more info.
New Oriental Cleaners insist that you look your best for back to school. Get a jump start. Bring in 5 pieces of uniform clothing and get $5 off. Only at New Oriental Cleaners. It's a Bring 5, Get 5 promotion for back to school. You bring in 5 pieces of uniform clothing and you get $5 off. What a deal. Go back to school looking your best with New Oriental Cleaners. Keeping you looking good is our pride and joy. Like us on Facebook and be the first to know about our big savings and promotions.
Commonwealth Bank approves loans for tuition, uniforms, school supplies, travel, or computers. And this year, we have Summer Madness specials that make it even easier.
At Commonwealth Bank, I was automatically approved for a CB MasterCard.
As a special bonus, get automatically approved for a CB MasterCard or a CB SunCard MasterCard. Plus, get a chance to win a travel voucher valued at $2,200.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB. Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
At Henry F. Store Electric Company, we supply all your electrical needs for any size project, from residential housing to luxury hotels. We can help you achieve just the right look, from doorbells to chandeliers, table lamps to ceiling fans, wire, conduit, panels, dimmers, switches, plugs, and even tools. And don't forget light bulbs. We have those hard-to-find, energy-saving fluorescent bulbs and more. Henry F. Store Electric, number 135 Matthew Street. Over 50 years of reliability, service, and low prices. We also ship to the Family Islands.
The choices we make can make us, like who we turn to for investment and retirement advice. Choosing CFAL means having a trusted advisor on your side, helping you build wealth and meet your financial goals. We manage pension assets for businesses and offer individual plans to help you design a secure retirement. We can provide brokerage services and comprehensive research support for clients needing a little more investment guidance. CFAL can help you build a portfolio you can be proud of. Visit us at cfal.com. CFAL sees your future.
What you writing? One letter, but I ain't sure if I should address this to Miss Palm Olive or Mr. Colgate. I beg your pardon. But I calculate that between me and Junior, I done wash over 10,721.5 pounds of clothes. 9,946 of which is Junior dirty overalls, all in super wash. What's the 800-pound difference? Oh, that's my little dainties. Hey, child, the only thing little but them is the label. Anyhow, I figure Miss Palm Olive or Mr. Colgate could at least give me some free detergent. I may ask the Aguila to sponsor me for one trip to their headquarters to present my case. Now, if they see Superwash backing me, they know I ain't playing. Well, how you know Palm Olive is woman and Mr. Colgate is man? You think man the name Palm Olive? You ain't never know. I never thought man was the name Caitlin. Oh? Superwash. They washes your process, it cleans you and entertains you 24/7.
Executive Printers. We're professionals. At Executive Printers, we do not participate in trash talk. We concern ourselves with the accuracy and security of your laser check. That is why we put 15, yes, 15 securities on your laser checks. This is not trash. This is fact. It makes fraud almost impossible. Call us today at Executive Printers at 393-5011 or email us at sales@epbahamas.com. That's sales@epbahamas.com. Executive Printers. Laser checks. We do them right.
What's hotter than summertime in the Bahamas? A Junkanoo and Goombay summer in the Bahamas. Get ready for one sizzling summer with two exciting street festivals. First up is Junkanoo Summer Festival every Saturday in July. Come see your favorite Junkanoo groups face off at Arawak Heat. And while you're there, enjoy mouth-watering Bahamian cuisine and entertainment. The heat continues into August with the return of the Goombay Summer Festival. Yes, you heard right. Goombay is back. Join us every Friday in August at Arawak Key for live Bahamian music, delicious local cuisine, authentically Bahamian arts and crafts, and lots of games and entertainment. Junkanoo Summer Festival and Goombay Summer Festival, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism. See you every Saturday in July and every Friday in August. Visit bahamas.com/summerfestivals for more details.
Super Bowl's a big day. Birthdays bring excitement. Anniversaries and Christmas may be close, but nothing compares to back to school. Prepare with this week's specials at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets, including Lay's chips, the 1-ounce size, 2 for 99 cents. Marichan noodles, the 3-ounce size, 3 for $1. Chef Boyardee spaghetti with meatballs, 15-ounce can, $1.19. Niagara spray starch, 20-ounce can, $2.29. Bananas, 79 cents per pound. Ready yourself for back to school at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
The government of the Bahamas has announced that there will be an increase in the minimum wage effective August 15th of 2015. In this regard, the National Insurance Board advises employers that for all workers impacted by the change in the minimum wage, there will be a corresponding increase in contribution payments for the month of August and thereafter. For example, a worker earning the current $150 per week minimum wage would have been paying from his salary contributions of $5.85, with the employer paying $8.85. With the increase in the minimum wage to $210 per week, that employee's contributions will be increased to $8.19 per week, with the employer paying $12.39 per week. The higher contributions will mean higher benefit payments for the worker. By law, contributions not deducted from the worker's salary at the time the salary is paid cannot be deducted from his or her future wages. Therefore, employers are reminded to make the correct deductions at each pay period starting on August 15th. The general public is reminded that increased contributions will be payable only for workers who earn less than $210 per week and whose wages will, as a result, be increased to reflect the new minimum wage.
This message has been brought to you by the National Insurance Board.
Welcome
where everyone's a winner.
Keep winning more minutes. Talk all day and we match it. You're getting more minutes. Every night till the morning. Keep winning more minutes. Talk all day and we match it.
Talk all day with BTC and we'll match your minutes so you can talk free all night. Terms and conditions apply. Everyone's a winner with BTC.
The best insurance in town is Advantage Insurance on Collins Avenue. They are simply the best because they provide easy, affordable insurance rates for home, car, business, or whatever is valuable or important to you. Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, is the fastest, most progressive insurance company in the Bahamas because they really take care of you by making insurance totally affordable. Call them now at 356-0285 or 6 or email them at info@advantagebahamas.com.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators, and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
Let me share this with you, how you're the best. You were so good till one day I pulled up to the gas station to get some gas, and when I reversed, I should have gone forward and I went backwards. I bumped this man's car. He said, "Miss, what happened? You under stress?" I said, "Yes, sir." But I wasn't under stress. I was so much into listening to your talk show.
Be careful now.
That's what happened. And your station is number one.
Welcome back. This is Hard Copy on a Wednesday. John Bostwick is with me. And somehow or the other, every time that we say that we're going to talk about something else and Wednesday comes around, somehow John Bostwick ends up in the picture. Wednesday is really his day. We were supposed to have Mr. Gomez. He's going to come on Friday. So Bostwick is here today. And we're looking at this Haitian problem, this Haitian Bahamian problem, this national problem we have, vexing it is with the amount of illegals who are here. No one knows the numbers, John. Nobody knows what the numbers are. And the last count, Mr. Mitchell told us that his count in this term, would you believe, his count in this term, not calculated. He was given us statistics from the 2011 period, or the period before 2007, I should say, when Alfred Gray was in charge of immigration. He told us that between, on any given day, 35 to 70,000 Haitians pass through or somewhere in the Bahamas, which we all looked at and say, hey, wait a second, those numbers don't look right. But that is the last official statistic. Could you believe that we have no statistics on who've been given
Steve, but
papers.
that's a ridiculous number.
Of course it is.
On the low end, it's ridiculous. On the high end, it's ridiculous. The fact that you're going to give a number that has a spread, $30,000 to $70,000 to $70,000, that's ridiculous. If you told me the price of this car is somewhere between $30,000 and $70,000, I'll ask you if that's your car. Are you crazy? What are you talking about? It ain't 30 to 35. It's twice as much. The price is either $1 or $3. No, you got to be crazy. It can't be 3 times as much or twice as much.
Mr. Bostwick has been a part of the deception. The deception that's
no, but how could a sensible man, a former journalist, an attorney, say something that ridiculous? You couldn't put numbers like that in front of me, Steve, and get me to read that as something serious. I would laugh. I said, you can't. I'm not reading that. That's ridiculous. It can't be that. It can't be 30 to 70,000. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's because for the many years they've been trying to keep conservative numbers by government's guesstimations, and that's not a good thing, which is also a part of the deception. See, and it makes us believe that they are part and parcel of this very heavy burden on the Bahamian people, the government of the Bahamas, successive governments. You cannot ask us to believe when the conservative estimates by Haitians in the Bahamas, business people with sense, who are decent Haitians in the Bahamas doing business, many of them who were born here. They're Bahamian Israeli, but they have Haitian heritage. One of their leading businessmen told me several years ago when I was hosting Parliament Street with Carter Marketing that a conservative estimate of those here was $100,000. This was about maybe 12 years ago now. Could you imagine that? 100,000, conservatively speaking. So for any minister of the government to come and try to bring off those numbers must have been around the early 1940s. But anyway, let's take some calls because we've had people waiting for a bit. Yes, sir. Hi there.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sparky, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Steve. How you doing today, sir?
Peace. All is well, thank you.
Mr. Boswick, yourself, too?
Good day, Sparky.
Yeah. You know, Steve, over the weekend, I was watching, I was, just around the house, and I was watching the social media in regards to this last incident with this shanty town where the police apparently went to the shanty town. The story is that the police went to the shanty town in the southern area to look for a gentleman who they later found, and subsequently some altercation happened and he was shot and killed. Following that, it showed that some lady lit one of the houses on fire. And then on the TV, it showed that they were showing the body being moved away. But they only said that the police went down there. Knowing this to be a shanty town, I was wondering, how come immigration was not involved? And then a few days later, I hear the Minister of Immigration asking the powers that be to see that shanty town is dismantled. And again, we coming back to the same thing, Steve. We asking for these things to be demolished or dismantled. We hear there's 37 of them around here. And the number stays the same. And when like the other day, when they tore down the one on Milo Butler Drive and cleared down the bushes, now the bushes grow back up. I hear they are rebuilding that shanty town. But where the people went after they took down the buildings, because we heard about the buildings being destroyed, but we're here, but the people are going nowhere. And then what I'm saying is, how come, knowing that, seeing this all over TV, that there is a shanty town now right on the weekend where somebody was killed, how come a person didn't go in there? How come nobody do anything about it? The shanty town is still sitting there and nothing is being done. I'll sit back and listen.
I appreciate your call. Well, Mitchell is calling for some things to happen. He believes that these shanty towns ought to be removed, and it is after the incident that Sparky refers to. And Mitchell is very concerned that activists in the country, that he's gotten reports that they've been making alleged remarks at a meeting organized with one of the migrant communities in Nassau, which may have bordered on incitement. This is a prelude to what had happened days later when this incident took place with the young man who was shot. These things are always unfortunate, but this is the kind of information that Mitchell is now putting into the public, and we've got to be careful because it could be very explosive.
Steve, you see, and with some try to be gentle, but talk is cheap. Talk is so cheap, it's pathetic. We've mentioned on this show already about 3 times a young man who had words to say that were beyond incitement, that were seditious, that were potentially what would you call it? Terroristic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could have caused an insurrection.
Okay. Could have caused insurrection. And he explained himself. He was a little bit drunk. No big deal. Okay. So now, when you have that example that you could have made a serious example of, I mean, the most serious example of, and you could tell him, my brother, I'm sorry, it got to be you, but things are getting out of hand here. And we are going to make the strongest example out of you possible. You will thank God if you get to be sent back on a boat to Haiti. You'll be happy.
We didn't do it.
That you looking 25 to life. We getting ready to charge you with crimes against the state. Okay? We getting ready to charge you under some kind of terrorist acts. Your option is to take that or go home. He probably would have been happy to get on the first thing, smoke, and go home. Okay? Because you obviously do not want to be here in the Bahamas. You obviously are not grateful or understanding or appreciative of the fact that we have granted and gifted you the right to be here, and we could take it back.
What I hear you saying is that the government of the Bahamas in this particular issue reserve their enforcement. They reserve their outward, their outcry. They reserve their. I mean, they just decided they ain't gonna do nothing.
So when I hear again,
they messed up on leading as a good example.
People have questioned me since I've been back on the radio here. When you say born free, what do you mean? Yes, born free, nationalist, born free, FNM. Why, when I hear this enunciation of policy come, it could start with, we, the FNM, think we need to go and lock up that young man. The commissioner of police needs to revisit that case. We need to go and get him. We need to start there. The policy of hard line, no mess, no foolishness with immigration. We can start right there. And again, having an immigration policy that addresses the illegal Haitian immigrant and others that are caught up under that definition, illegal immigrant coming predominantly from the South, or now needs to be broadened to any illegal that is here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we want to hear a policy, as I have enunciated in my 20-year national plan, that deals with illegal immigration across the board. Because, Steve, illegal immigrants are not just coming in this country now at the level of the menial labor, of the gardener, of the housekeeper. We have illegal immigrants up and down Bay Street, standing in doors in front of shops.
You telling me about it.
Okay, so we have illegal immigrants everywhere of every description from every corner of this globe, okay, from every race, whether they be European, Latin American, or whatever, in every profession. We have illegals all through this system, Steve. What we have all through this system is something we talked about, and something I know you were going to talk about with Damian Gomez had he come today. What we have all through this system is rampant and rife corruption. Corruption that manifests itself, whatever department. In immigration, it manifests itself as the illegal immigrants all through our system, all through these shanty towns. All that is facilitated through mock corruption, where you could have a government minister say he knows that they're there. Over and over, minister after minister after minister after minister of immigration say, we know that they're there. We know where they are. We have shanty towns. We have 20. We have 32. We now have 45. In other words, we know that we have more and that they are increasing right in our face while we are telling you, the people, that we know they're there.
It's a game of deception.
Okay?
So
it's
you
not
know
even a game
they're
of deception, Steve.
What are you going to do about
in your face telling you that they know they're there and they ain't doing a doggone thing about it, but count the numbers as they increase.
Yeah. Well, let me take a call on the cell phone from Rupert, and then I'll get Antonio and Brown and Amos and the others. Yes, Rupert, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening to you, Mr. McKinney, and good evening to you, Mr. Bosley.
Yes,
Good day.
I just would like to amend what Sparky said about the Haitian village that was taken down on the highway. Most of those buildings wasn't pushed down because they had enough warning. We actually watched them being stripped from the shingle taken down, the plywood, all the sides. So it was obvious that that particular village was simply relocated. I live in the vicinity of Sparky, and every night or every weekend, for sure, we used to enjoy what sounded like fireworks. You could hear the machine guns and the guns firing every week, and that wasn't alleviated until the market yard and the other area around there disappeared. And so right now, I just hope that we do something with our illegal immigration situation, as well as the problem causes those who already got papers in this country who decide to misrepresent what those papers are for. They need to be evicted, because as it stands right now, the only person on death row is of not a Bahamian descent, Haitian descent. The 3 times when police vehicles was broken up, it was at Nassau Village, the village on Friday, and up in Bantown, where it was in the Haitian area. And so we need to get a handle on the situation. The only person in my recent recollection to threaten the whole country with Colombian necktie, that's the most extreme threat I have heard, is not a Bahamian. So you think we can do something with that song?
I appreciate your call. You know, what's interesting with that, this Colombian necktie thing, is that it was amplified by ZNS, and they did it several times because they figured that this was the right story. They have still not admitted that they were the ones who caused the incitement by repeating something that was done as a private interview, We've found out all this information. Nothing has been done by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas that inflamed that particular episode. Anyway, the government may have been smart and clever to just try to let that rest, but they should have made some other interventions to send a message to the young man. The other thing is that when the Commissioner of Police appeared before the media and talked about this particular case, he says that they're releasing this young man. He says, but this doesn't mean that he cannot be picked up again for questioning. So that's my consolation, I suppose, that if people are calling for an example to be made, the example was made, the statements were made some time ago. The example is yet to be made, but the doors are still open on that particular case, John.
Steve, you talk about two things from that caller and one thing from what you said. The message that was to be sent was not to that young man. It was through that young man. He was going to be the message carrier to a greater community that we ain't playing that. Don't ever think that we are playing that. Check yourself. Check yourself. It ain't ever going to be that way. And through the example made by and out of this young man, you will understand that. So it wasn't to send a message to him, through him.
Understood.
And when you, I'm glad that caller makes the statement of the issue is not the immigrant, because again, an immigration policy, a positive, progressive immigration policy is necessary to the development of any free nation state.
Absolutely.
So it is not the question of the immigrant, but it's a question of the illegal immigrant. Okay? And again, of any description. Predominantly with numbers we have here, they are of a particular description. So they get all of the focus, or the majority of the focus, and so be it. That's not any natural prejudice. In fact, as I have said at the beginning of this, we of all people around the Caribbean, the Bahamas is a melting pot. We cannot afford to have a natural prejudice towards anybody south of us. We are made up of those people to a great extent. We are made up of Cuban descent. There are people from Ragged Island and places that got all kind of Cuban blood mixed up in them. Haitian blood, Turks and Caicos blood, okay, Jamaican blood. We're all mixed up. So we can't talk about having this natural prejudice to any particular group of people, but we have a natural prejudice or a natural concern or a natural rejection to anybody who is a burden to our society. Any group of individuals who are burdensome to the legal functioning of our society. And if you happen to be majority of a certain class, then that's nothing to do with a prejudice.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
just facts.
Absolutely. Antonio, how are you? Antonio.
Hello, good evening. How you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you kindly.
Okay, Steve, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your host.
Yeah, good
I just want to ask a question. My question I want to ask him is that he made a statement and he said that in Haiti Constitution that you cannot denounce.
You cannot renounce your nationality, your citizenship. You can. You have automatic citizenship under the Haitian Constitution.
Okay, well, I want to ask him that if it's so when we pick up some kids with their parents who are Haitian descent or any other nation descendant, and we carry them to their country, they have to wait till they reach 18, and if their constitution says that they cannot denounce or doesn't have that provision inside the constitution, what they do then?
Well, that's a good question, because the truth is it's not our problem. You see, what we're supposed to be doing here in the Bahamas, you see, this is two different nations, two different sovereign nations, the Republic of Haiti and the Bahamas, a sovereign nation. Under our laws, there's no such thing as a Haitian Bahamian. There's a Haitian national born in the Bahamas, and under Article 7 of our Constitution, it says that anybody born in the country to non-citizens are able to do what? In 18 years, apply. But that doesn't, if you read further, you'd see that, and if we had been enforcing the law, you would see that while they may have been born in the Bahamas, and they have a right to apply at the age of 18, the point is this: they have to go outside the Bahamas even after they are born. We have been allowing them to just stay here, and because we say it's inhumane if we send them out. If you are born of illegal parents, and they are illegal in the Bahamas, we make no provision for you to stay here till you get 18 to apply. You can apply from where you are. But nobody wants to bait that particular thing. No one wants to bail the cat on that. Everybody wants to talk around that. Successive governments have, and because people have been ignorant, Bahamians for the most part have been very ignorant of these articles in the Constitution, nobody ever pursued it. But we have a new generation of Bahamians now who've been reading the Constitution, studying it. They understand what it means, and they realize that we have been in error. We have been in error for so long, and we've got to correct it.
And that's why I asked a question. So what makes a Bahamian a true Bahamian? Because if someone go to Haiti and come back, they're coming back with what? Haiti descent, whatever they learn in Haiti, they're going to bring here.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is that they ought not to even qualify to be a citizen of the Bahamas because they cannot renounce in Haiti under their constitution, so they don't even qualify to be considered for a citizen in our country.
Wow.
And that's what the government, no one has talked about that until today John Bostic brought it up again. We talked about it before, but it fell on deaf ears because maybe our way of explaining it was kind of complicated. John made it very simple that, you know, how can you be a part of a country when under our Constitution.
So my question to you, sir, are they still a Bahamian? That's my question.
Are they still a Bahamian?
Yes, even though they're in Haiti and the Constitution doesn't have that provision, are they still a Bahamian?
No, they're always going to be a Haitian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Yeah, they're not a Bahamian. And nobody who is born in the Bahamas to Haitian parents are an automatic Bahamian. Even if you're born here, you just happen to be here.
Thank you.
And you were born here, and our Constitution speaks to that. A lot of people were here on visit.
And Steve, you know, that's just not Haitians. And see,
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
You know, there are people, there are people who are born here to teachers, or even tourists, or to say teachers. You know, we have teachers who've come from all over the world,
right?
From India, from Britain, from all over the world. And you have English teachers that are here, both parents. They've been teaching here 20, 30 years. Their kids are born in the Bahamas to parents who are here legally.
Exactly.
And they still have to apply. And they're still not guaranteed. And a lot of them are actually turned down. A lot of them are actually turned down. But they still have to apply. They've been here all their lives. They've been to school here all their lives. They grew up here. Their parents have had work permits. Their parents sometimes even apply for residency after a while. They've been here for 20 years that's on work permit.
And they're legit.
And they're legit. They get residency and the right to work. And they stay on. And they sometimes, some of these people they marry Bahamians if they're not both foreign. And still, they find themselves in a situation, especially if it's a foreign man, where his children may not qualify for Bahamian citizenship if he even marries a Bahamian woman as a foreign teacher here in the Bahamas. His children got to apply.
Absolutely.
And nobody's crying about that. Nobody's upset about that. But everybody seems to have a big problem because a particular element of the community has to apply.
Because they have populated this community at such a level that politicians who don't have any spirit of country and nationalism and are not born-free Bahamians could care less. They want to exploit that for votes. Yeah, that's what the bottom line is. Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to Mr. Bostwick.
Good day, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment in terms with the Haitian shanty towns. What I don't understand, from what I noticed from the television when they did they had that unrest through the shanty town, they seem to be tucked away, like from the road. You wouldn't know that they even exist in the back there. To me, we need to make sure that I'm sure there are other communities in the Bahamas and in Nassau where, you know, it's just a small track road to get to them. But because we know what is happening or what could happen with them, we need to make sure that we get some bulldozers and we make sure we have clean view and clean, good access into these shanty towns, because that's the only way we'll get an idea of what is happening, because they can be building up. I didn't even know it still existed. I thought they were all gone.
No, they're still around. I appreciate what you're saying. You're not wrong. I was speaking today to somebody who's been watching this matter for several years as a law enforcement agent. And the idea that is up there right now in some elements of the government is that we ought to get these drones to be able to oversee these villages and be able to monitor these villages from drones. and we need to do it. And we can find the inexpensive drones to get this done. This is a matter of urgency.
I have to interject there. Two things. Long Island. Long Island is 3 times as long as Nassau and almost as wide at some points, almost 5 miles wide at some points, and very narrow at other points. Long Island doesn't just have a policy where you can't bring illegals into work without being vetted really by the island community, but they have a no landing policy where they simply, Haitian sloops land north and south of Long Island. Haitians managed to get all the way to Abaco, Grand Bahama, okay, which means they have to pass Long Island, no doubt.
They know the Long Island's the one would say, keep going, don't stop.
They know that Long Islands are not tolerant. The Long Islands have not been invaded to the point where they have sympathizers that outnumber those who detract and who oppose. Long Island has held firm with a simple policy of no landing. Now to go from there to your drones. Long Islanders with an island 3 times as long as Nassau, with a population on that island that is less than maybe 10% of what is in Nassau, less than 10%, maybe 2% of the population of Nassau, an island 3 times as long. Those persons are capable of watching their coastline at all hours of the day. They can see their coastline from one end of the island to the other and be able to enforce themselves, without having to call the defense force, their no landing policy. They meet them in the water with food and water, and they send them on. Okay? So if that could happen in Long Island, Steve.
By the people themselves.
By the people themselves. My Christ, the drones. I happen to know that the person who commanded the major section of the U.S. Army's drone squadron was a Bahamian from where?
Cat Island?
Long Island.
Long Island. Is that right?
A Cartwright. And that he proposed a drone program. This Bahamian from the U.S. Army, in control of their drone program, proposed the program to the Bahamian government to patrol our borders, all of our borders, using drones. Okay? $5 million, Steve. That ain't plenty money, Steve. That's no money, Steve.
Not for national security.
Steve, that's no money to patrol the entire archipelago. To watch and know what is moving, where it moved, when it moved, who came, who met them, who picked them up, have all that recorded on tape. And like I say, from that, man, you allow them to do that for a minute so you know what they're doing, and then you lock them up so deep in jail for human trafficking. Not for no movement of illegals. The other day, I'm sitting down in the magistrate court and I see somebody get $2,500 for moving illegal. $2,500.
Fine.
Fine.
We're not serious.
We are not serious. Steve, they weren't charged with human trafficking. They were charged with the transport of illegals. And we have human trafficking on the books. We're not using our laws. You put them in human trafficking and you lost him in jail for 25 years. And the next boat captain who's thinking about that, he no longer is so interested.
Let me hear Anton Thompson here on 6. Anton, how are you?
This Amos, Steve.
Yes, Amos, how are you?
How you doing? Hey, brother, born free.
Yes, Amos, how are you?
And I missed the part of the show, your shows where you explain what the born free mean. But Mr. McKinney, you are doing this country's generation, the youth unborn, and those who are small, who are little to comprehend what's going on, a great service. I think you're doing it for Almighty God, honestly. Even when I buck head with you because I was allowing my personal issues to get in the way of national issues that you were dealing with, let me apologize again. Steve, this country owes foreigners. No, I don't care where you're from. This country do not owe any foreigner anything. The country supposed to take care of its people. And how do we know that? Almighty gave us this country. We went through our parents, our foreparents, went through the struggle. Steve, when you come to Auckland, when I was growing up, I went there in 73 when the country was going independent, and I was there for like about 9 years. Steve, the first thing our family of islanders will ask you, what is your name? What is your and who's your people? You see what I'm saying, Steve? Mr. McKinney, please, as you do your
national and you're doing international people a great service. I hope they know that. Because if we don't get the message, don't worry about the mess. If we don't get the message across, they're going to feel it also. This country, Steve, thanks again for the opportunity you always give me. I have some strong views on immigration. I think I would want to speak to you first on that. But Brother Born Free, until we start jailing these illegal immigrants, they got to feel what they're doing. You're giving them an opportunity to make and mass wealth. You know what I like with Donald Trump? Donald Trump is doing, it has a great campaign as relates to immigration. One of his key points he's saying, Steve, is that once he take care of the immigration issue, black jobs. Now, this is a majority black country, so I have to assume once Steve McKinney's message, once those who stand with this gentleman, he risks his family life for you and me and our children, you all think I can always disrespect him? Steve, thank you again.
I appreciate your call. Thank you kindly. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Brother McKinney. How you doing?
Brother Thompson, how are you?
I'm in great shape, thank you. And good afternoon, Born Free Nationalist. Good afternoon,
So what do we
Nation.
do, Anton? Because we have a dilemma. It's all of our problem. And while many people, including myself at times, want to get out at Mitchell and have him do more, I believe that he may be inundated with a lot of pressure on the inside too, in his battle with this immigration. And I don't sense that there's a collaboration or a close-knitted grouping of his cabinet colleagues who are on the same page with him.
With Brother McKinney, I would say this. I believe that the Honorable Fred Mitchell is an honorable minister. I believe that he has the best interest of the majority, in particular, nation at heart. I believe that he is the right person to have in the seat at this time at immigration. I also believe, firmly, deeply rooted within my heart, Brother McKinney, Born Free Nationalist and the nation, that in order for the honorable minister to succeed in his endeavors, the Bahamian people are going to have to step up and step up bold in their approach, in their voicing their concerns, in their voicing their issues, etc., as it relates to immigration. When they see the minister make a move, you have to step up publicly and boldly. You have to represent through the constituency offices firmly and strongly and consistently until, if you like what you see is being put out there by the minister, until you see it come to fruition. Now, I just want to throw a loop, and that statement there, Brother McKinney, the nation and Born Free Nationalist, is very serious, because we have someone sitting in the seat who is a proponent of justice in the area of immigration in this country at this time. And if we don't step up to the Bahamian nation, if we don't step, we're going to find ourselves in another 5 years making the same set of complaints, or another 2 years rather, making the same set of complaints, and then the next election after. And so we have to move from talking into action. Okay, now
Agreed.
To throw that loop in there, you were speaking, well, it was actually Born Free Nationalist who was speaking to the process for nationalization, or for the process of Haitians becoming Bahamians, and Haitians automatically upon birth receiving the citizenship of Haiti. Well, that's very, very interesting. You know, I've been listening very quietly over the last several days, but I had to call in on that particular point, because if what Born Free Nationalist is saying is true, Brother McKinney, then that means all elections, since we have been granting residency or citizenship, whatever it may be, to Haitian nationals, all elections since we have started that process or that program in the Bahamas are illegal, including this one, because Haitians have been voting, I mean, in particular over the last 2 to 3 elections, in blocks, Haitian Bahamians rather, in blocks, going to the polls in a legal manner and voting legally. And so that would mean that even the election just passed, 2012,
would be a fraud.
Therefore,
Would be a
we
fraud.
would need to revisit that. And who's going to start the process to revisit that?
Well,
I tell it to say this, Brother McKinney, not that I'm putting any questions to the elections, don't get me wrong. I'm saying that to say this, that I find it has to be a little bit more than what is being explain today, because I don't think that successive governments, not just the Progressive Labour Party government, but a Free National Movement government and an original PLP government that had Loftus Rokas in it, I don't think that those gentlemen, those good and noble gentlemen, would have sat in Parliament and allowed for the nation to be held hostage by illegal elections. And so that's something to examine. Thank you for the time, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Well, you've introduced an idea of illegal elections, and we haven't, but I hear your point. I don't agree that we'll have to go and write them off. I say what is done, and what is done is done in ignorance. Now that we have been enlightened and we see the light, if we continue to do it, then we can question our motives. If we continue to practice a fraudulent practice to sabotage the direction of this country for political gain, then I say, yes, we are all guilty of foolishness, and what we get, we must take. We know now what the position is. It's up to those persons forming the policy around immigration, which has always been a cloudy area. It's up to them now to sit down and examine specifically elements of our dilemma in the immigration policy and attempt to fix it. Hard copy, how are you, John? You're speaking in a minute.
Good evening, Mr. McKinney. How are you?
Final call for the day. Thank you kindly.
Yes, and to your guest, Mr. Boston. Very interesting topic. But with regards to the shanty town, I think that we need to be dealing with eradicating the shanty towns in phases. For example, I think the first thing what we probably need to do is go in there, okay, with the law enforcement agents and apprehend all the illegals. Now, those persons who, like you say, may present their papers, you leave those alone. But then you need to follow due process and research to see if the papers that were obtained by these so-called regularized Bahamian is legitimate first. Now, if you find that a lot of them may have not followed due process and their documents ain't legit, then you got to go back in there and get those ones.
I got you. I appreciate what you're saying. Makes sense. John, let me ask you this question. Are we prepared to create an immigration task force of people who are minded to build the Bahamas in fair play? You see, I saw the bishop this morning talking about honesty, the lack thereof in the Bahamas. He's been saying that for quite a number of decades. He's been parts of Blue Ribbon committees and reports, and he's been a good leader to stabilize the Bahamas in many regards with pricking our conscience. But I don't suppose that we have people today in a generation of old-time politics who can now change their old ways and just move on a premise of honesty. Now, I'm not calling all of them dishonest. What I'm saying is that we've been doing this corruption so long, multiplicity of corruption, that we don't know where the surface, where the foundation is anymore. So do you suppose that we'd be interested in really clearing up this problem and creating a task force of such made up of a diverse group of people who are purported to be honest and upright and fair to look at this problem and to really make recommendations that will be adopted automatically?
Steve, with no offense, with no offense to this governance by committee and task force ain't doing nothing for us. There are those of us, there are some Bahamians out here who know what needs to be done. The average Bahamian knows what needs to be done. And as I've said, the laws are in place to do it. Okay? The laws are in place to do it. People out here know what needs to be done. We don't need to be having task force and things. What we need to do is to find the testicular fortitude within ourselves to move forward with that which we know needs to be done. Steve, the Long Islanders don't have an immigration policy, not an illegal immigration policy. They don't have that. They have a very well-functioning system simply by guarding their border, by watching their islands. And, you know, to enunciate what I feel is some of the central things that we need to do, I support the idea of a national identity card. I actually wrote to it. I called it the Bahamian Blue Card in my national plan. I believe that everybody should carry an identity card that states exactly who they are and what their immigration status is here. Residents now are issued a little credit card looking card. that says what their residency is, what level of residency they have, and anybody asking them a question on stopping them can be told exactly what the status is of that person. I don't see any reason why we can't have that. And I do think we now need to move towards an aggressive policy towards punishment for human trafficking. We need, and I said on the show a year ago, Steve, that we need to declare war on smuggling. And that smuggling must include all forms of smuggling, and preeminently human trafficking and the trafficking of drugs and illegal weapons. But human trafficking is one of the primary concerns of the global community right now, not only because it is a modern slave trade, but also because the moving of nefarious individuals, the moving of terrorists, the moving of dangerous people through smuggling routes. So we must declare war on human trafficking as a part of our immigration policy. We must now also take very, very strong punishment against those boat captains, against those persons who are employing illegals. We should not be able to walk into shops as Bahamians and not be able to find an English-speaking Bahamian in that shop, at gas stations, at wherever we go, at restaurants and at foods. It should not be the case that we are encountering Creole speakers at every level of our employment level, and that persons are able to employ these people without fear of consequence. There should be serious consequence for the employment of any illegals, because at the end of the day, Steve, it is us who is selling our birthright, you know.
No question.
This is our Bahamas, and these people are here by invitation. For most part, they're here by somebody invited them here. Somebody is accommodating them here. Somebody is employing them here.
Big business.
Okay? It's a big business that we must declare war on. Maybe it's time to have paid-in medical service for non-residents. Why should they have the benefit of our health system? Why should we have to? We need to go there now, Steve. Yeah, we're going to treat you, but you're going to pay.
The time is now.
Yeah, we're going to treat you. We're not going to refuse you service, but you're going to pay. And if you can't pay, you're going to be sent home. We're on that list. And in fact, immigration needs to be at the hospital. Needs to be sitting there. And when you come and you present your card, and if you don't have your card, yeah, we can serve you, but we're going to deport you right after that too. We now need to be serious. And all types of people talk all types of craziness. Oh, we have that policy. It's going to drive illegals away from the established medical facilities. That would be their choice. Human beings have choices to make, you know. And we have to exercise our rights. Now, when we exercise our rights and you make your choice, that's on you. But we have to stop bending our rights, bending our will, bending our direction to some foreign interest, whether that's a foreign interest of an illegal immigrant or the foreign interest of some major investor.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the interest of the Bahamas. I see that we need to move immigration services throughout the country. We should be able to deport you from Inagua. I should be able to deport you from Eleuthera, Abaco. I don't have to bring you to Nassau to put you in. No, I should be able to deport you from anywhere. And anywhere there's an international airport or international port where I can move and get you out. Steve, it's time to get serious. It's time to realize too, as I said before, that immigration is a policy that a part of it is policing and border protection, and a part of it is nation building. We need to know that our economic development program must consider immigration, the policing side, as well as the side that we're looking to attract immigrants of all types, of the menial type, of the laboring type. But if you're going to bring in menial workers and laboring workers, look at the Cayman Islands system. You can't get a work permit for longer than 2 to 3 years in the Cayman Islands. You got to go. After that, we bring in a new set.
John, we look forward to the day when our country could look at best practices and adopt some of the things that are beneficial to the citizens of the country. It's time to look out for the citizens. Citizens first, Bahamians first. And that's what we say. And we mean that. I want to thank you. But I've got to read some text messages before we end the day. This person says by text today, Steve, don't forget on your show, a police officer said that they cannot enter the mud nor Pigeon P without permission. I asked the question when immigration went to Abaco, where is the illegals? I heard they caught about 70 that came by boat. There is a no-go area in this Bahamas, believe it. This one says, thanks for your wisdom, Steve. I am now convinced that only permanent residency should be given to law-abiding immigrants, applicants in our Bahamas. Another one says, our citizenship should be a long and transparent process. Let them prove that they are loyal and worthy of becoming a citizen of the Bahamas before you do so. This one says, Steve, I agree with your guest, John Bostic, when he says the government should have to put all those people in the detention center, and that would show the illegals that we are serious. It would also teach them how to act in other people's country. This one says those persons who were deported here from the United States should be deported to Haiti if they were not given citizenships prior to going to the United States. Another one says, hi, gents. Why would these Creoles want to be Bahamians? As they are now, they have the best of both worlds. They don't need building permits. They don't pay light bills, land taxes, schools and hospitals are free. They don't even license and insure cars. In some ways, they have it better in the Bahamas than Bahamians. Another says, Steve, it appears as if Luby ain't scared of Mr. Mitchell. It seems as if he is challenging the Honorable Fred Mitchell to bring it on. Another one says, Steve, they need to check the JPs in Eleuthera, especially at Government Complex in Governor's Harbor. That's why so many of them have papers, is what this person is reporting. Some of the text messages I've gotten today, we'll post the rest on Hard Copy's Facebook page tonight. And we hope that you have been enlightened by some of what has been said here this evening. I want to thank John Bostwick. And of course, tomorrow I'm going to have on the show Michael Pintard from the Free National Movement. And certainly we'll talk a number of things as the leader of the Free National Movement seems to be under heavy attack. And Michael Pintard will be here to discuss those and other issues with me. And then on Friday, we're going to have Damien Gomez, which means that I have pushed the great orator Georgie Capron back to next week. And of course, I've got a big lineup for next week. And we are right now trying to see how we're going to juggle some of these schedules to get everybody in, because the time is now to talk about the national issues. And I'm happy that we're beginning to refocus our energies. We know that there's nothing much we can do about the Baha Mar project. We've got to wait and see. What is dealt to us in our hand of the card is what it will be. You can't change that, nor can I. We can only debate, beat up our gums about it. But in the meantime, if you feel like debating, beating up your gums, let's talk about something that we can affect some changes in, and that's in the national policy. By the way, congratulations to Mike Sands. He's been elected as a vice president of an international association in the international world of sports. Pauline Davis has also been reelected at the IAAF, and Bahamian Dennis Marshall, Spider Marshall's brother, has been elected to the council of the IAAF. So we've got Bahamians now making decisions at these big international groupings. This is always impressive. This is very good, and we congratulate them all. That's our show for tonight, Nathan. Let's go home, my friend. I think I've got pea soup and dumpling with dry conch tonight. You want to stop by? Pea soup and dumpling with dry conch. I done limping from eating crawfish yesterday, but I cannot resist. I've got to. If I have to limp for another day, so be it. That's it. But I know you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We look forward to it. Our show today has been brought to you by the folks who make it happen all the time. And they include a whole list of wonderful people that we appreciate. And of course, among that list, if I can find it, National Insurance Board, Commonwealth Bail Bonds, Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, BTC Every Day, Super Value, McKinney Media Group, RBC Visa, Ministry of Tourism, Advantage Insurance, New Oriental Laundry, Department of Labor, Grace Academy, Ron's Electric Motors, Prime Immigration Services, Sky Bahamas, Super Wash. Also, we're brought to you today by CFAO, Kalina Financial Advisors Limited, Commonwealth Bank, Summer Madness, Executive Printers, Henry F. Store, The Light People, and the Blue Ultra Pure Drinking Water. Tomorrow then, on the show, you know, if it's 5 o'clock, it's Hard Copy. Good night. We'll see you.
Relax, get cozy, and enjoy the music on Peace After Dark.